you guys have got to see this one. This is the Pecron E1500LFP. I have had the E2000LFP as well as the E600LFP. And I have been very surprised by Pecron because many years ago, I used to have issues with them because their systems had a lot of issues. But now that is not the case anymore. I really, really love this E series line, especially this LFP part, because it's lithium iron phosphate. I've been using this for 2 or 3 months now. I've run my refrigerator, freezer, Wi-Fi, TV, heat lamp for my duck house. I'll show you that here in a second, as well as even power tools working on different projects. And the bottom line is I haven't had a single hiccup yet. I've done solar charging, I've done wall charging, I've done high output, I've done long-term low output. It just keeps on going. So I want to do this review for you guys. So if you're looking for a very portable system, that you can consider the Pecron E1500LFP, because it even has battery expandability and pretty decent solar input, which are things that we always look at on these systems. So let's go ahead and get right into this review. In the box, you're going to get this little carry case, which has your user manual, of course, as well as your solar adapter, your wall charger cable, a 12 volt 30 amp output to an Anderson power pole, a jump start system for a car, which is pretty cool, and then of course a car charger. On the front of the unit, we have 32 to 95 volts input at up to 15 amps for 700 watts of solar input. It uses their own special connection here, which is kind of proprietary. Then they also have this other 100 watt input, which can go up to 18 volts. So you could actually put another 100 watt solar panel on that if you wanted, or just use that for the car charging port. You have your fast wall charging, which is 1400 watts input right here. You have a fuse that you can replace. 3 outlets rated to 20 amps. For if you don't know, this little sideways mark actually means it's rated to 20 amps. So if you have an outlet that has this little 90-degree leg on it, that's because it's rated to 20 amps. Got your screen. You have to turn it on by holding the DC or AC button, and you can cycle through different features here to show your voltage output, your frequency. You got your battery input. If you push the AC button again, it shows you the estimated runtime left as well as how many watts are going out. You can press and hold the DC here, which is going to allow us to turn on all of these DC outlets. This is a 12 volt 30 amp output, which is very impressive. Then a 5521 millimeter barrel port, and then your typical regulated 12 volt cigarette lighter port right there. For USB, they have one 100 watt, which is great. They have an 18 watt, that's USB-C, and then 4 USB-A, all rated to 18 watts. Plenty of USB connections here, and it even has a wireless charging pad on the top. This is one of the things that surprised me the most, is this right here is a battery expansion port for the B3000 expansion battery. It's a 3000 watt hour expandable battery for this E-Series Pecron system. On the back, there's nothing. On the sides, there's vents. And on the bottom, you've got a bunch of specs and serial numbers, stuff like that. Pecron has done a great job of releasing an inexpensive, highly reliable system that you can just buy off the shelf and it's just going to work. There's no big frills or anything special about it necessarily. The 2200 watt inverter is plenty for running all of your basic 120 volt needs. You're going to even be able to run like water pumps and stuff like that. Not a well pump, but for being able to move water around, which are inductive loads that use a lot of energy, it's going to be good for that. You're going to be running fridge, freezer, lights, fans, TV, Wi-Fi, radios, CPAP machines, all those types of things that you would use during an emergency blackout. It's going to be able to power that no problem. And if you need the extra battery, then you have the option to add another 3000 watt hours. This has 1536 watt hours. And because it's lithium iron phosphate, it's rated to 3500 cycles, which just basically means you're looking at least 10 years of nonstop every single day use before it reaches 80% efficiency. So you're going to be able to let it last a very, very long time without wondering if the battery is degrading much. For my use, I pretty much just use the AC outlet. Sometimes I'll use the USB. For the DC outputs though, I'll most commonly use a DC fridge. DC fridges are very efficient, and so in my opinion, it's a lot better than using a cooler because I don't want to have a bunch of melted ice all over my food, making everything soggy or condensated or anything like that. I just like to take a DC fridge, plug it into this, and this gives me literally like 24 hours or more of runtime. When I connect a normal fridge to it, your typical fridge will use, to be on the safe side, let's say 150 watt hours for every hour of operation. So for 10 hours, I would need 1500 watt hours, because 150 watt hours per hour times 10 hours is 1500 watt hours. So that's what we're looking at here, is about 8 to 10 hours of consistent runtime for just one refrigerator. So that's where it could be really helpful to get that expansion battery, because then you're looking at tripling that, because the battery's 3000 watt hours, which is double this. You'd get 3 times the total. So you'd be looking at 24 to 30 hours of a normal fridge if you get the expansion battery. The thing that I've been using this the most for is my duck house. I've got 600 watts of solar panels on my duck house, and it just runs a heater for their water. So that way they've got fresh water, as well as a heat bulb that runs at night. And I run the heat bulb on an outlet timer to make sure that it's not just draining this all the time, because during the day, the ducks don't really need the heat. The other way that I've used it is just for portable projects. Because I do crypto mining as a side hobby and as a side income, I had worked on a project where I was building these filtration boxes for better clean air to get into my ASIC crypto miners. And so I used this because I didn't want to run an extension cord. I just brought this over because it's about 40 pounds. It's really not that terribly heavy. Anybody, I think, could move it. And I was able to just bring this over right to the workbench, plug in the saw that I was working with, and just go to town. I cut 16 8-inch holes on some wood, as well as did some other trim work for those boxes for my crypto mining. The biggest application that I see this is for emergency backup power, just for very simple things, or for portable power for small projects. You're gonna pretty much be able to run anything that you could plug into one of these outlets, minus maybe a really, really large air compressor. That might surge more than what this can handle, but overall it's gonna handle pretty much everything. The longevity of how long it will run will be determined by how much you are running off of it. So if you're running 4 refrigerators, well, then it's not gonna last very long. If you're running 1 refrigerator, it may last you through the night, depending on many different factors for a refrigerator. I've only had one major gripe with this, and it has this very slight, it's not even like a humming noise, and it's not a crackling noise, almost kind of like a whirring noise that's going on internally, and it is very quiet, it is very subtle. You wouldn't normally hear it, but when you get right next to it, if there's nothing else going on in the room, you can definitely hear it. So if this were under a bed or around a corner, or if I'm in my room and it's in the living room or the kitchen, I would absolutely not hear it. You have to be right next to it to be able to hear it. I'll see if my mic can pick it up. And of course, I'm putting the mic directly in right next to it where you would never have your head. But I don't know if the mic's able to pick that up. There is this light noise going on in here. Other than that, I have not had any issues. I totally forgot to mention this at the beginning of the video. Pecron did send this out for my review. That's not for me to boast about it and say how amazing it is, because they're not paying me anything to talk about it. They just wanted my honest review so that way you guys can see if it was something that would work for you. That's why I've been testing it for a couple of months to make sure that it works as advertised. And the bottom line is it works as advertised. I've had no issues with it. I've not had to call Pecron customer service. I've not had to ask any questions like, hey, what's going on with it? Why isn't the screen reading out? There have been no issues. I literally pulled it out of the box, turned it on. I kept a 400 watt solar panel connected to it, and I've just been running things in my garage, my duck house, projects, so on, and using it portably around my off-grid cabin and in my truck. It's just a super simple system. I don't really have much more to say other than it works. If you're looking for some high-tech system that's gonna have a bunch of integrated features with grid and all of that, this is not your system. If you just want an affordable, reliable system that doesn't have any crazy bells or whistles you have to worry about breaking down the road, I can wholeheartedly recommend this system. If I'm able to get any coupon codes for you guys, they'll be in the description below this video. I'm not doing this video to make money in any way. I just wanted to share with you guys this system. I think it works great. And if you found it helpful, smash the like button. I think emergency preparedness is super important, just being self-reliant. Everybody goes through times where they need self-reliance. That simply includes having a rainy day fund. If something happened, you lose your job, or having some gas cans around your property or around your house. Like, just simple preparedness makes a world of difference when you really need it. So you don't have to go broke to get solar backup. I really like this setup. I'm gonna go on and keep using it and test other stuff. See you guys in the next video.